Selling your car to Carvana is as easy as...
As easy as pie?
Sure. All you have to do is enter your license plate or VIN.
As easy as a stroll in the park.
Okay, then just answer a few questions and you'll get a real offer in seconds.
As easy as singing.
Why not? Schedule a pickup or drop-off and Carvana will pay you that amount right on the spot.
As easy as playing guitar.
Actually, I find that kind of difficult. But selling your car to Carvana is as easy as...
Can be.
Visit Carvana.com or download the app to get an instant offer today.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday, May the 25th. First of all, it's JJ's 9th birthday. And so we just want to acknowledge that. And very bittersweet that on his birthday, we get a slew of charges, some of those murder charges.
Oh, yeah.
It was, I believe, a 9-page indictment that the grand jury returned. They were in session until yesterday.
Wow.
So we kind of were wondering maybe why it didn't happen last week. Well, now we know. There's a huge witness list. Well, it's probably going to be tomorrow before we can really dive into that good. But it's revealing.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, we just have to give it up for Rob Wood and Lindsay Blake and the FBI and Ron Ball and, I mean, Detective Hermosillo and all those guys and gals that have worked so hard for a very long time to get where we are.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. They were all standing in the background.
Yeah, I think that they got this.
Yep.
These charges were, you know, it was kind of, it was more than I thought they would get, really.
Yeah.
We're going to go through it in a bit. Our hearts go out to Kay and Larry and Colby especially. Very hard time for him, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And his wife, Kelsey, Annie, the Daybell kids. Garth testified at the grand jury hearing. He was the only Daybell kid that did.
Wow.
And, you know, to everybody who knew and loved JJ and Tylee and Tammy. And I think murder charges for Charles are going to be coming up at some point. And now we know that Alex was the one that took the shot at Tammy. I wonder if we're going to see charges maybe for attempted or conspiracy to commit murder for Brandon on Chad and Lori at some point.
Yep.
I think we're definitely get the same for Lori as far as Charles. Maybe conspiracy with Chad too, because Lori got conspiracy to commit murder charges for Tammy.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of stuff to go around.
That's a ton of evidence.
So I guess now we know Tammy Daybell was murdered. It was one of the longest waits of this case for me.
Oh, yeah.
You know, sometimes it seemed to be kind of at the back of the news because you focus on the kids. And this case is so crazy. You are constantly hopping around to victims because, unfortunately, there are so many victims in this case.
Yep.
So we now know, thank goodness they exhumed her body. And thank goodness Chad was stupid enough not to have her cremated.
Yeah, I mean...
He could have gotten away with a murder.
Oh, exactly.
If he had had her cremated. Now, we know there's digital evidence, and it's been said many times they may have enough on that alone, but...
I immediately, when we talked about that, I immediately went back to remember when they were telling the Daybell kids if they came in, they would share with them her cause of death.
Yeah, and I am sure this has been a very, very hard month or so for those kids.
Oh, yeah.
It's unimaginable. And
I mean, your dad killed your mother. I mean, that's hard to...
And on top of that, there are kids' bodies on the property that you brought your families to. It's...
Yeah.
It is crazy. I'm not a huge supporter of the death penalty as a whole, but I have to say, I would not be sad if in this case they don't go for it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be sad because if you think about the enormity of all the deaths and all the lives that were affected around those deaths, And then the manner in which they disposed of Tylee. It's just vicious stuff.
Yeah, and again, you look at how they've been in prison and everything, and they know what happened,
Right.
and they've still acted how they've acted.
Well, I go, you know what I was thinking about earlier, just sitting here going through all of the stuff, and I kept going back in my head to those pictures in Hawaii.
Yep.
And this is 10 days later after they murder Tammy. And we know they've murdered the kids at that point. Charles is murdered. Joe Ryan, who I fully believe was her first victim.
Yep.
If we're finding out that they conspired in October of 2018. That's before we thought.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there will be no preliminary hearing on this since the grand jury has issued the indictments.
Yep.
And what about tomorrow?
So first appearances tomorrow at 11 for Chad and 11:30 for Lori, and that's Judge. I think it's Edens. Edens.
I like him.
I know, I do too.
I'm glad he's back.
Yeah. And we think they have to be there. It's the arraignment will be when the case gets bumped up to district court, but we're pretty sure they'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, and so with Mark Means, if you think about it, she was just declared broke last week. And so Mark Means decided that he was going to stay on for those felonies. Now that I think is up to 10 years for those felonies total.
Yep.
That was for hiding evidence and destroying evidence and all that jazz. But now we have a possible death penalty case. The prosecutor has 60 days to inform the defendants of whether they intend to seek life or death.
Yep.
So, the one thing Scott Reich said tonight on his show is tomorrow it could be a day where we see new counsel come in for the both of them.
It'll be interesting.
We don't know. Here's my question. Okay, so we know Chad was charged with insurance fraud for this is interesting. The day Tylee was last seen in Yellowstone is the day that Chad and Tammy maxed out her life insurance policy.
That's crazy.
Same day. So now that we know he's been charged with 2 counts of insurance fraud, and Pryor is on the deed to that house, which according to Scott Reich, he said, where I'm from, you'll get disbarred for that, but Idaho may have different laws.
Yeah. I thought it was weird too.
Right. So is this the point maybe, I don't see this happening, where Pryor cuts and runs and takes what he has in that house while he can? Because these are all new charges. These are murder charges. These are big deal.
Oh, yeah.
So
if he was smart, he would. I'll be out.
Yeah.
I'll be tapping out.
And so anyways, and the other thing that Scott said was the subpoena that was given to Melanie Gibb when she was at the grand jury, it was actually given to her in a hotel, not the grand jury. He thinks that there will be a motion to quash that and it would be granted. So that was the other thing. So the penalties are life to death. We don't know yet.
Yep. I'm sure I would think they would maybe talk with the families.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know they don't.
Right.
Just to get their thoughts on that.
Yeah, because seeking the death penalty doesn't come without a lot of consequences for the family.
Yeah.
It's a lot of reliving this through appeal after appeal. If it were my family member, I would feel the need to be there every time the doors are open to that courtroom. So it's just an emotionally taxing thing that goes on for decades, to where if you seek life, get the guilty verdict, they're never going to breathe free air again.
No.
And I mean, there is something to be said for 2 people who think they are above everybody else on this planet to spend their days in a tiny little cell reflecting on their terrible decisions.
Yep.
Which they probably won't. But still, I'll be happy either way. I'm very happy. So I did some math, Fruit Loop.
Uh-oh. Y'all better mark this down on your calendar.
Well, I did it with Siri.
What's today?
No,
Tuesday.
I did it with Siri.
Tuesday, May 25th.
So it's been 624 days since Tylee was murdered. 610 days from today since JJ was murdered. 584 days since Tammy Daybell was murdered. 459 days since Lori was arrested. and 350 days since Chad was arrested.
That's a lot of days.
It's a lot of days to get to some murder charges, but they're here.
Yeah. Dun dun dun.
So, we talked about the dates and the conspiracies that are mentioned in the indictment start in October 2018. I was doing a little research, and Chad was at a prepper conference in St. George, Utah that very weekend.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know. I think that's maybe when they said they met at a conference with Melanie Gibb. I'm not sure, but the date they have the conspiracy starting is the weekend Chad was at a prepper conference.
Okay, my thing is, I'm just going to say this. The evidence that they have against them, they just dumb.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're just dumb.
Yeah.
I mean,
and here's the thing. We don't really know a lot of evidence. They have not issued a cause of death for any of the three that we now have murder charges for. They're going to save that for the trial.
Yep.
So we got few little things in there, but still not a lot as far as details. We got a few things. So,
the other thing here, could Chad and Lori both face murder and conspiracy to commit murder charges for Charles and for Brandon?
Yeah, and I think Brandon's a big deal, because it's not like they've forgotten about that down in Arizona.
Yeah.
This is connected to a much bigger thing. So I think we see charges for Charles sooner than later, and maybe Brandon.
Yep.
And so let's get into these charges. So the one thing I've noticed, though, is in the language of the actual murder charges, not the conspiracy, there's kind of a few ways they say that it was murder. And so it's kind of hard to think, does the evidence they have show the planning, the aiding and abetting, for a murder that actually happened? Because conspiracy to commit murder is when people plan a murder, they take steps to ensure it will happen, but it doesn't have to happen. You can still be charged with conspiracy to commit murder, even if nobody had a finger laid on them. Yep. So the conspiracy is just planning it. The actual murder charges, they just have some language in there that, to me, says it's not that Chad and Lori actually had to physically kill the kids for us to be able to put these murder charges on the table. So I think it kind of leaves open the original theory that, because it has in there they instructed, and we'll get down to it later, but I think it kind of fits the same theory that at least with the kids, and we know Charles, Alex was the killer. That's kind of my theory on it, because it's not just that Chad murdered the people. Lori, it doesn't say that it says she could have, but it also said she could have just aided and abetted. You still get the charge. It's the same thing.
Yep.
So let's start with Chad and Lori together. What do they have?
Okay, so 2 counts of first-degree murder for JJ and Tylee. 2 counts of conspiracy to commit murder for JJ and Tylee. 1 count each of conspiracy to commit murder for Tammy. That was huge. 2 counts of grand theft by deception for JJ and Tylee.
Yep.
And the one with Tammy is, obviously there's evidence.
You're right. And it could be text messages between them, between Chad and Lori and Chad and Alex, or a group text. We don't know.
Yeah, most definitely. So what about Chad?
Chad, the different charges that Chad has from Lori is he has a first-degree murder charge for Tammy and 2 counts of insurance fraud for Tammy. So, and for Lori, what do we have?
Grand theft, Social Security fraud for JJ and Tylee. And we called that from the get-go.
We so smart.
We are. We called it. We said that'll be on some of the charges.
Definitely.
Yep.
So count 1 was conspiracy to commit murder and grand theft by deception. And we just said the conspiracy, the act doesn't have to happen for the charge. Okay, so this is where I'm a little confused, because under conspiracy, it has Chad, Lori, and Alex named. When we go down to first degree murder for Tylee, only Chad and Lori are named. So there's a lot of things in here. I've asked Scott Reich. I'm hoping he gets back to us before tomorrow. So I don't know. Does that say that they have proof that Chad and Lori did it themselves. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or could it be that just because Alex is dead, they didn't name him there? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. They did under conspiracy.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
anyways, so with the conspiracy to commit murder and grand theft deception, this is for Tylee. They used religious beliefs justifying the murders starting on October 26, 2018. So that's that weekend that Chad was in, I think, Utah.
Yep.
Doing that 2-day conference.
Yep. So on or about September 1st, 2019, if you remember, Lori moved to Rexburg with Alex, Tylee, and JJ.
Yeah, and Lori changed the deposit for Tylee's survivor benefits from the death of Joe Ryan, her father, from Tylee's bank account directly into Lori's on August 16th, 2019. So before they even moved to Rexburg, Lori rerouted that money into her account. I'm sure that caused some friction between her and Tylee.
Oh, yeah.
And I can totally see with their kooky religious beliefs, she's turning into a demon.
Yep.
Because these survivor benefits can be a lot. It's based on part of their income, what they put into the system. And sometimes the benefits can go over $1,000 a month.
Yeah. And we know when we talked to Tom, he said Joe had a good job at the beginning of all that.
Right. But I'm sure that caused problems with Tylee and Lori, and probably in her mind, that was justification in a way.
Yeah.
So I just thought that date was interesting.
Yep.
On September 8th, 2019, Chad looked up South by Southwest wind on Google. He had visited a website entitled, "What is the definition of south-southwest wind direction?" This was likely done in anticipation of burning Tylee's body, because the next day would have been when she was dismembered and burned.
Wow.
Yep.
So, I mean, with that, he's trying to figure out how far that smell would go, I guess.
Well, yeah, I guess you would make sure that wherever the nearest house is, that wind is not going to blow in that direction, because burning flesh is not pleasant.
How in the world how you gonna tell the wind changes directions? I mean, it ain't like, oh, it just comes this one way. It's just coming this way.
Yeah, well, they're morons,
Oh,
so we
my
got that there.
Goodness.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Put fire out. Like, wind changed. Like, can't blow that way.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, yeah, it blows the mind.
Yeah, it really does.
The only thing they didn't do is take a selfie of them committing the crime, because they left a popcorn trail, it seems. And this is only a teeny tiny bit of evidence.
Yeah.
Okay,
Seriously.
so on or about September 9th, 2019, Alex went to 565 Pioneer Road, apartment 175. That's Lori's apartment. If you remember, on the probable cause affidavit back when Chad was, or was it when Chad was arrested, that we saw Alex's pings?
Yep.
And it was, I think, the only time he was in her apartment late at night.
Yep.
Like in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock or something. And
Sure.
I think around 4 a.m. he went back to his apartment. So I think there you kind of have a window of a time of death for Tylee.
Yep.
Probably between 1 and 3 she was killed.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how. Because there wasn't a lot of blood in that apartment.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So I don't, you hate to theorize.
Yep. So on or between September 9th, 2019 and February 1st, 2020, Lori failed or refused to contact Social Security Administration, which she's required to by law to inform them of Tylee's death. So, I mean, that's fraud.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
government. You're taking money from the government.
Yeah. Yep.
So between September 25th and January 22nd of 2020, Lori collected 5 Social Security survivor benefits on behalf of Tylee.
Wow.
What's count 2?
So count 2, first degree murder for Tylee. Chad and Lori are named there. Between September 8th and 9th, 2019, as part of a common scheme or plan or continuing criminal transaction between Madison and Fremont counties, were concerned in the commission of a first degree murder, and aid and abet. Okay, I was like, what?
Nah, I made a typo. Sorry.
Okay.
Just to see if you were sharp tonight.
Hey, I am so sharp. In its commission or not being present, advised and encouraged its commission, or by command compelled another to commit the crime and did so with malice, afterthought, and did so willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation, which resulted in the death of another human being, did either kill Talleyrand and or assist in the killing of Talleyrand and or did encourage the killing of Talleyrand and did command another to kill Talleyrand.
So we're just going to say that count 4, which is first-degree murder for JJ, it reads the same. The only difference is the 23rd day of September as part of a common scheme. And so it's essentially the same wording. It's kind of lengthy. But you can see in that murder charge how you go from did aid and abet, or not being present, advised and encouraged its commission, or by command compelled another to commit the crime. So you see with the language in there, they're not saying necessarily that Chad and Lori physically killed anybody.
Yeah.
Well, Chad and that is in the same thing with Tammy's death.
Yep.
So it's a pretty wide web. You know, it's kind of one of those things where they've got a lot of different ways to prosecute this, I think.
Sure.
And that's very smart, because then you're not just kind of, hanging on one thing.
Exactly. You're spreading it around there a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't put your eggs all in one basket.
That's
Your mom
right.
ever tell you that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My grandma still does.
See? That's
My
right.
dad does. I think my dad did the other day. Pretty funny.
Yep. All right. So what's count 3?
Count 3 is because oh God. Okay. It's 10:51, y'all. You know how we get late at night, but we're here. It's taken hours to peel through all this stuff. Count 3, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and grand theft by deception for JJ. So Chad, Lori, and Alex are named, and the overt acts. Again, they use religious beliefs justifying the murder starting on October 26, 2018.
Wow. So we know that on or about in September, around September 1st, when Lori moved to Rexburg.
Yes.
And then we do know on September 23rd, Alex Cox did take possession of JJ Vallow.
Yeah, and so I think that is a little clue to he took possession. It doesn't say he was returned.
Yep.
So I don't know. This is kind of how I read it, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And then on or about November 26, 2019, Lori Vallow provided a false and or misleading physical location of JJ to law enforcement during an investigation.
Yeah.
So that probably is when they did the welfare check.
That's what I think.
And she said Arizona. She never said with K, right? No, somebody said with K. Alex?
Yeah. Alex said that he was with Kay, and the cops are like, well, that's funny because she's the one who's wanting the
Yeah, I think
check
we
done.
got that right.
Yeah.
So what was next?
So that's when Lori, in September and February, Lori failed to notify Social Security as required by law of JJ's death. And then the next one was between September 9th and February 1st, Lori collected 4 months of Social Security survivor benefits on behalf of JJ for Charles's death.
Yeah, and we talked about how first-degree murder for JJ was the same language as with Tylee, just different dates.
Yeah.
And then, so what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, again, this is her being above the law.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing in their actions afterwards. They did everything but care.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big thing in this trial. If it goes to trial, we don't know. I mean, they could plead guilty. This is a very bottom of the barrel. I mean, they got a long way to go, and I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
So I guess the question now is going to be, does their counsel see the evidence that's there and encourage a plea deal? Or does the prosecution say, hey, take the plea, we'll take, death penalty off the table? We don't know. There's going to be maybe there's going to be some deals made there. I don't know. Maybe prosecution says, hey, we'll go to trial and get death.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. So count 4.
We're on 5.
We on 5?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my bad. How did I miss 4?
Because we just said
Oh,
that
that's right.
JJ's murder
That's right.
charge was the same.
Same. So count 5. This is big. Conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. This is Tammy Daybell.
Yeah. Question answered.
Yeah, and Chad, Lori, and Alex are named.
Right. And it started on October 1st, 2018 through January 15th, 2020 as part of a continuing transaction and common scheme or plan in Fremont County. They did willfully and knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree to commit murder in the first degree of Tammy Daybell. So what are the overt acts that they used to justify that charge?
So it's basically the same. Religious beliefs justifying the murder. Again, it's talking about when Lori moved to Rexburg with Alex, Tylee, and JJ. Okay, this was a good one. Text messages between Chad and Lori regarding death percentages for Tammy and JJ. And that was in some messages on July 30th, 2019.
Yes. So this is 2 months before JJ is murdered. 2.5 months, actually, right? September. So like, no. July, August, September. So a little less than 2 months.
Yeah.
And the percentages, I think they're talking about insurance money.
Yep.
What kind of percentage? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
That's in July of 2019, way before they moved to Rexburg.
Oh, yeah.
So Chad obtained a burner phone on September 28th, 2019. And Alex Cox got a burner phone on October 9th, 2019.
Wow. So September 8, 2019, Chad signed an application along with Tammy to increase her life map insurance to the maximum allowed under her policy. With insurance fraud, does his house get taken to repay the company, or does Pryor's name on the deed prevent that?
Yeah, I mean, that's my question. Is we assume the house on the deed is his guaranteed payment for what's left of that money. You know, I don't think Chad has any of Tammy's money left. There's no way.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So the property is his only asset at this point. I mean, he didn't get rich doing his little books.
Well, and the bad thing is, I mean, he's got his kid, his daughter's living in that house.
I couldn't live in that house, but that's a
Nope.
whole other podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I feel so bad for his kids. I'm sorry. They are innocent in this, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. So now we know for sure that Alex Cox attempted to shoot Tammy Daybell on October 9th, 2019. We kind of always said, what if it was Chad?
Yep.
But it makes sense that
Oh,
it
yeah.
was Alex.
Yeah, the one theory we had was he ran around the house and then came back out the front. Remember that?
Yeah, but
Then we were like, oh,
Nah.
he ain't running nowhere.
he's not in shape enough. He'd have been sucking wind.
No, yep, he'd have been out
He
of breath.
gave himself away.
That's right. That's right. So Alex Cox conducted multiple internet searches between the dates of October 8th, 2019 and October 12th, 2019, including searches related to Grendel drop and shooting through a Dodge Dakota.
Yeah, so the Grendel is an intermediate cartridge with low recoil, high accuracy, specifically for an AR-15 at medium or long range, anywhere from 200 to 800 yards.
Wow.
So, yeah, he had a long gun. I think Brandon said he saw like a muzzle come out.
Yeah.
But the AR-15s, I mean, they have a long, what do you call them, a neck?
We got our guy on YouTube. I forget his name.
No, like what's the long barrel thing? Is it a barrel?
It's a barrel, I think.
I don't know anything about guns.
I think it's a
You
barrel.
know, the long thing that the bullet comes out of.
It's a barrel.
This is why I don't have guns, y'all.
It's a,
I mean, I would be, yeah, I
what
would
you
be.
talking about? A neck? That's a turkey. That's a neck on
I
a
thought
turkey.
it was the neck of the gun.
No, I think it's a barrel.
See,
yeah.
if I had a gun, Fruit Loop would have a lot more anesthesia stories because I would shoot myself in the foot.
Oh, you'd be Barney Fife over there. So yeah, and then there's what they say Alex is going to gun ranges in the months before October 9th.
Yeah, he went to several gun ranges.
I'm gonna tell you. Oh, never mind. I'm gonna hush. I ain't gonna say it.
He traveled from Sportsman's Warehouse to the vicinity of the Daybell residence on October 9th, which is the night she was shot at. Sportsman's Warehouse, I looked it up. It's kind of like Cabela's that we have here, or I don't know. But
Bass Pro Outlet.
do they have the same kind of stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never been to one of those.
Oh, it's great.
You're going to have to take my Southern card, y'all. I
Yeah.
ain't never been to a, what is it called?
Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah, that place.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
They got big old fish aquariums inside.
Yeah,
them
but I
things.
could never fish because I always felt so bad for the worm. Like when my dad wasn't looking, I'd throw the worm in the water and drop my line and be like, "Oh, fish got it."
Dude, we use corn.
Oh,
It's a whole lot easier to put on. I don't want to put no squirmy worm on that hook.
what? But then I feel bad that I hooked the fish. Like he's just hungry, and then it's like dangling a burger in front of me with a big hook on it. Anyways, okay, let's get out of fishing.
Yes.
So Alex was in the church parking lot approximately 2.5 miles from the Daybell residence on the night of October 18th, 2019, and that is the night Tammy died.
What's he doing there?
Oh, it's so curious.
I know, right?
Not a coinky
He's
dink.
stopping by.
Yeah. Now, I don't think he was getting any religion in that church parking lot.
No.
All right, count 6. What do we have?
First degree murder for Tammy.
Boom.
Yep. Chad Guy Daybell, on or about October 18th and 19th of 2019, was concerned in the commission of a first-degree murder and did aid and abet in its commission or not being present advised, and encouraged. I don't know why they can't just write this stuff.
Okay,
in
so
normal
what we're going to
terms.
say is we don't know if he actually killed him. It's possible that he told somebody to kill him or
Kill
that
her,
he
you mean?
aided her, or aided and abetted. So
Yeah.
that it's just kind of hard to spew out, but it's the same language that's in JJ and
Yeah.
Tylee's, which is there are kind of 3 ways to murder.
Exactly.
So count 7 was the grand theft for JJ and Tylee. So Lori, between October 1st, 2019 and January 22nd, 2020, she got those Social Security fraud charges for JJ and Tylee in an amount greater than $1,000, which said funds Lori Noreen Vallow was not entitled to and which did belong to the government of the United States.
Boom, we called that one
Yes, we did.
from the beginning.
We called count 8 too. Read it out.
That's right. Insurance fraud, Tammy Daybell. Chad did with the intent to defraud or deceive an insurer for the purpose of obtaining money or benefit presented or caused to be presented to an insurer or other person for the purpose of obtaining any money or benefit, knowing that such statement contained false, incomplete, or misleading information concerning any fact or thing material to such claim, did present and or cause to be presented an insurance beneficiary form to LifeMap Insurance Agency. We called that one too.
Yes, we did. And then he had another count of insurance fraud. So
Yeah.
those are the charges. It's weird. I mean, I was looking at, because I was just thinking about the days, the number. And so that's why I kind of just did the math. And 624 days since Tylee, 610 days for JJ, 584 days for Tammy. And in the beginning of our podcast, we always say in the recording, the long road to justice, and this road just got a lot longer.
Oh yeah. But I'm so glad.
It is
All our listeners we've been waiting on this one.
You guys have been awesome, and we it's a relief to hear it. I mean, because at least now we know. It was kind of a lot of worry with our listeners. Are they going to really be able to put this on Chad and Lori? It's probably Alex, and then they're not going to get in trouble for much. But as you see, these are death penalty. They could be death penalty cases. If
Yeah.
not, they're all life in prison. And, we still have justice for Charles. I do believe that's coming. Maybe for Brandon. My question is anybody else going to be arrested for helping these guys?
Yep.
That-
we shall see.
I mean, it's not like it can't happen. So it's just been a wild day. They gave the witness list for the grand jury, which was interesting. I think we're going to wait and dive into that tomorrow. I need to do some background research on some of these people.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do you think, Fruit Loop? Do you feel relieved that at least we kind of have some momentum going again?
Yeah. And I didn't doubt that there was enough to charge with anything.
Yeah.
I think we both felt they would come. It was just a matter of when.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they're doing it for the family and to get this ball rolling. So
Yeah, and I hope now that these charges have been put out there, and I hope that Kay and Larry and everybody are able to put these babies to rest. We know that they have been kept away for these tests that they've been running, and they have not been returned to the families yet. So
yeah.
maybe now that these charges are out there and they have the evidence they need to charge, we can hopefully read something on social media soon where they've had a private little family funeral
Oh yeah.
and are able to at least close that part of grieving is the burial. They've had to wait so long.
Yeah. Yep.
And our thoughts are with them going out because this is just the beginning of years, guys. I mean, I don't think this will go for 2 years. Easy.
Yeah.
I mean, the person we use for our glimpse at life, she was in county jail 3.5 years waiting on murder charges and conspiracy to commit murder charges. 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get anywhere fast unless something comes over them and they both say, yeah, we're guilty next week.
Yep.
I doubt it. They'll ride this wave, I think, to trial.
Oh yeah. I just want to say, well played, Rob Wood.
Rob.
You the man.
You got us. We weren't even really, I mean, I had somebody calling me about flooring and you were wrangling toddlers and we were like, it's on.
Yeah.
And it's like we waited for a year and we're both just in the middle of something. And so I was.
Literally, I held my phone to your ear so you could type.
Oh, yeah.
Because audio was crazy on that one.
A lot of people couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
And everybody was freaking out. And unless you could read lips, you were lost.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I like this new prosecutor.
Oh, I did too.
That they brought on Lindsay Blake. She was to the point. And yeah, so I am just curious if they show tomorrow. I think they have to.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's going to be interesting to see. Just for vanity purpose, what do they look like? Do they look a little worn around the edges after a year in the pokey?
See if Lori spent that $14 on that hair dye, perm, whatever it was.
Well, you think about that first appearance that we saw back in Rexburg where all of JJ and Tylee's family's in there. You got, well, Annie wasn't there, I don't think, but you got Colby, you've got Brandon, you've got Kay and Larry, and she did the strut in, you know?
Oh, I bet you Kay and Larry, they on their way to Rexburg.
Heck, yes, I hope so. I would love to be on our way to Rexburg.
Oh, I know, right?
I tell you, if they have any kind of a public memorial up there, I know they were waiting until the kids were able to be released. I would love to take a road trip and go up there.
Yeah.
We definitely would need to make that happen.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be really neat. But yeah, so I think, you know, just across social media, the relief and the excitement for charges. And I tweeted out, it's sad for JJ's birthday that we have to celebrate this way. But at least there is some good that came of today, which is the beginning of real justice for these guys. They murdered those kids a while back and they were only being held on some small felonies while that case got built up.
Yep.
So knowing the big charges have come down, I'm feeling much better about this case.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Mark Means was at the courthouse today, according to a local. We know we've said he's there pretty much every day.
He must have moved.
I know, right? I don't know.
Must have got him a little apartment or something in Rexburg.
Yeah. So anyways, a lot of people have asked too, if they're married, why doesn't Lori have half interest in that house? But I believe in Idaho, it's what marital property you acquire after your marriage. So seeing as he had that before, I don't think she's entitled to it. Unless he did a will where he put her as half. But I doubt it.
And they ain't had time to do none of that.
I think he would have had to have gotten her okay to put Pryor on if that were the case. I mean, that'd be really tacky. The house you murdered your wife in, you put your new wife on who was in on the murder. And
yeah.
But gosh, man, these are not normal people.
Nope.
So nothing would surprise me.
Oh, no.
I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if she has a portal in her cell.
Exactly.
It's just so wacky.
Yeah.
She probably built one out of toilet paper.
Yeah. It's the toilet.
And old ramen wrappers.
Yeah.
They get creative in there with stuff, y'all. You ain't even lying. So I think that's it for tonight. We're just so happy, and we appreciate you guys. This podcast has grown beyond our wildest dreams in this almost year we've been doing it, and we plan to be here until the verdict comes down for these two and further.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right, you guys have a good night. Tomorrow, we're going to go back through some more stuff that we've learned and probably have another full one for you.
Yep. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.